I remember looking it up before I stepped into the Canadian forest for the first time. There was a pamphlet, when in the woods and inadvertently coming across a rutting elk, make yourself large. Look him in the eye and act dominant, intimidating. It never really explained the why. When in the woods and inadvertently coming across a brown bear, remain calm. Talk gently to the bear. Don't act like prey. Chill but strong. Kind of like Fonzie. And when in the woods and inadvertently coming across an obstacle that looks slightly too much for you, go a little slower. At times, you might get stuck. The best way to get unstuck is normally a winch. In the absence of a winch, we need to make tea. Slow down and think a bit. Take perhaps too many precautions. Neither one of us has enough knowledge to fix these Jeeps. We need to take extreme care of them. A minor break out here, we could both be in trouble. We also run a high risk of slipping a tyre over the edge of a cliff in the snow. Without a winch tied to a tree, stopping a tumble down the hill is a fairly high priority. We had fought our way to the top. For days, we'd been looking for a challenge. Record high floodwater, snow, a biblical mosquito plague. Mostly all the result of a late wet summer. Passable access roads became challenging recoveries. There were times when it wasn't really much fun. But this trail was paying off. We were early in the season and only a couple of 100 meters from the peak. Could be we would be the first vehicle to get to the top this year. When in the woods and inadvertently coming across an obstacle that looks just enough. Not too much for your vehicle, but is on the edge of a remote cliff. Go a little slower. Make time to think or regret some of your choices. Don't act rashly. Remember, not everybody is perfect all the time. When in the woods and you find yourself under attack from a bear, remember, your response to a brown bear and a black bear must be very different. Remembering this will save your life. Remembering which is which as you lay in a hammock, finding yourself awoken in the middle of the night, suspended between two Jeeps over a snowbank, suspended over the first snow which meets the narrow road at 45 degrees, impassable without tracks or a plough. Remembering the correct response to a brown bear versus black bear versus grizzly bear encounter. Its importance and relevance will become clear to you as you lay in a hammock 2, maybe 3 in the morning. Listening to air rush through oversized, wet nostrils right next to your head. Deeply breathing in and out. Conscious of being assessed as a food source. I had few resources as I lay in my hammock at the top of the world. The hammock had a window, but it was closed, so I didn't need to remember the correct response to a brown bear or a black bear or a grizzly bear. That was comforting. As was the fact that the animal had clearly already made a decision not to immediately eat me. Surprising, the animal would force a predator to make a new decision under duress. Outcome uncertain. When in the woods and you find yourself stalked by the cougar, the pamphlets have no advice. There is no defense from the mountain lion, as the first sign of them is the feeling of feline jaws around your neck. This factoid I could call as the deep breathing next to my ear kind of tripped and cracked. It's a sound that could have come from a congested bear, perhaps, but I imagined a kitten in my brain in the moment. Kind of tiny, crackling fragments of giant purrs from huge nostrils. So I laid still and calm and held my bear spray for dear life, listening to the breathing and knowing there is no real wrong thing to do. The inertia of the situation is kind of strong, and I am so weak in it that there is no pressure on me because I'm just a passenger. And then it stopped and the sound moved away and I fell back to sleep. And I thought of the tower and the hike we would make to the top, and the lack of evidence of my encounter, other than the full-grown cougar prints in the snow.
The one night I didn't flick the spray in the car, in the tent.
I was hugging it.